Okay everyone, my name's Maze Wallen. I'm a game audio teacher at Box Hill and a composer, sound designer and audio programmer the rest of the time. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing a 2D template for implementing audio in Unity. It's based off of this template from Flatgame Jam in 2016, made by Laura, aka DreamFeelX. Thank you, Laura. I've added a room audio script onto this just so that we can transition between rooms and keeping the music in time. And also I'll be going through 3D audio and creating little objects. Alright, so the attached file onto this video is this zip file, audio template 2D. Copy to desktop here. Great. Cool. And we'll unzip it. We'll just unzip it straight to the desktop this time. So I'll just pop it here. Okay. Great. So now it's on my desktop somewhere. Here it is. I'm now going to open Unity. Just waiting for it to load, and we're greeted with this screen. So, as this is a new project, I'm going to click open over here, go to my desktop, and go to Flat Project 2. That's what it's called. Okay, I'm going to click on here. Inside this folder are these folders, and I want all of those in my hierarchy. So this is going to be the folder that I open. So we just select this folder, and Unity is going to open it up for us after a little bit of time. Okay. So this is the project that I've made for us. I'm going to just refresh how to move around Unity first. Over here down the bottom are our project files. So you can see that those are the folders that we had before. Art, audio, all of these. This is the scene. So if you open up a project and there's nothing on this screen, just double click on this scene and it will open it up. We can see up here there are two tabs, Scene and Game. Game is the main camera view, and Scene is where we can actually edit what's happening in game. Okay, on the left we have the hierarchy, and this shows everything that's in the scene. We can see at the top there's the name of the scene down here, and that's what we have open. So as we click on these, they get selected in the Scene View tab. So we can see Luminous is this little guy. Great. We can see that text. Text down here are these two text boxes. Yep. We can see that Audio Zones brings up all of these little speakers. But when we click one level below, we're selecting the individual pictures that I've got there. And I've called them audio zones in this case, because that's what their purpose is for now. But you can call them whatever you want. Maybe you want them to be an environment or something like that. Next we'll see that on the right, when we click something, we see the inspector changes when we select something. In the inspector, we see each of the components that's on that object. So Luminous up here has these components: transform, a position, sprite renderer, these two scripts. And when you hover over something, it might come up with a tip. Yeah, there we go. Sometimes they don't though. Here's a little circle collider here, which means that our character functionally is the shape of a circle. Text, we can see that this is an empty game object. It just has a transform. But the purpose of it is to sort these two game objects. Oops. And these have a few more components on there. So we can edit this text if we want. We can call it red text. And we can see that it edits in the scene view as well. That's good. Alright. In our audio zones, we can see that this is an empty game object. This is again just so that we can organize this hierarchy view a little bit. Within our audio zones object, we have these individual ones. You can see this first one I've selected has brought up this green box and is showing these little selectors there. So within this object, again, there's a position, there's a sprite renderer, which has my little picture inside, that's the sprite. It's got a box collider, which is the green line. It's got a script called room audio, and this doesn't come with Unity. This is something, a custom script that we've had to put in. And this is an audio source. To add components to any game object, we just scroll down in the inspector and add component. You can see that often the ones that I'm looking for have the word audio in them, but we'll also be looking for collider. We can see that there's a fair few types of those. We'll be using box collider later on. Alright, so I'm going to play this game just to show you what's happening so far. Alright, so in room 1 we have this very catchy tune just for on the floor. You can also move across using WASD. It transitions into another loop. As we move to another room, we've got the last loop there. So I've just hit unplay. It's not pause and it's not skip to the end. If you click pause, it does pause the game and doesn't properly stop it, which makes editing harder. Alright, so we had 3 different loops there, and they're kept down here in audio. I've put music there. So room 1 sounds like this, and a little preview comes in the bottom right. So it only goes for 2 seconds, but it's a seamless loop, so you don't necessarily hear the start. the second loop. Yep, and the third loop. So you can hear that an extra layer is added on to each loop. And as we traverse across these 3 audio sections so far, the loop crossfades into the next one. So in the first audio section, we have the room audio script. I've already put that there for you. And we have an audio source, and the audio clip in here is room 1. We can change that just by dragging in a different one, but I'll keep it to room 1. Let's go through these next settings a little bit. It's obviously not on mute, and we can hear it. Here are some effects that we could use. We're using play on awake. And what that means is that on awake of playing the game, this will play. And we've got it on loop because we want it to keep going. Alright, we have this priority, which is both for listening and learning. We have volume, which we'll just have on 1. Unity treats volume as between 0 and 1. We have pitch, again is just set to 1, which is the original pitch. We have stereo panning, and we have spatial blend here. Spatial blend we'll use in the next step when we are discussing 3D audio within this game. We have a little reverb zone mix as well. And we have these 3D sound settings, which because we've got our slider all the way down to 2D, we won't be using those at all. Okay, on our room audio script, we have these public parameters to work with. So max volume we've put on 1 again, and we've got this fade between time. This is the value that it takes to fade between 2 different loops. We've allocated 0.2 seconds. You might want to change this according to what beat, what BPM your track is at. But this is fine for us at the moment. It's quick enough to not notice too much, and it's slow enough to not cut a beat off halfway. When we're working in Unity, rather than saying 60 BPM, we have to use seconds. So 60 BPM would be 1 beat per second, 90 BPM, 1.5 beats per second, 120 BPM, 2 beats per second. So we can see why we tend to use round numbers in games. If we used 70 BPM, it would be something like 1.01111 forever beats per second. It's just not something that's easy to work with as far as the scripts go. Okay, so that's our audio source and scripts. What this script relies on is a box collider. So we have to enter a box collider, and the script will find the audio source that's on there and raise its volume to 1 within 0.2 seconds. So this is the green box collider. It's slightly smaller than the picture that it's on, and this is so that the script has a clear exit of one box collider before it enters another box collider. Alright, so we're going to make another audio section just from scratch, so that we all know how to keep expanding our game. So we'll find a picture first. I'm going to use this picture of some Brussels sprouts, and I'm just going to move it straight into art. You can see that as soon as you drag a picture into your project files, it creates a little sprite renderer as well for you. And I just dragged that actually straight from my desktop into here, but you can drag it straight from your any folder. Yeah. Okay, so next we're going to drag this straight into our scene. Here we go. And we see that once we drag this into our scene, it appears up here in our hierarchy. It's called Brussels, which is the name of the original file. And on the right in our inspector, it says that it has a position, a scale, and it has a sprite renderer. And that's there so that the picture shows up. Okay, so using this T key transform, we can also use keys Q, W, E, R, T to choose between these mouse functions. But using this T key, we can make this slightly bigger. I'll make it this big, or I could make it very long. Maybe I'll make it long to make them look like long trees or something. And I'm using Alt to change my cursor into this hand so that I can move the scene view a little bit. Alright, so we need to add the components that the other audio sections have. So I'll click again on this Brussels sprouts picture, and the first component I'll add is a box collider. So I'll just type in collider. If I type in box, there's some other things that come up as well, including the skybox. Here we have box collider 2D, and that's what we'll use because we don't need it to be 3D in this instance. No, it doesn't have depth, it'll just be 2D. So once I click that, we see that the green square goes around the Brussels sprouts. It's outlined in the box collider. But I'm just going to make it slightly smaller, again, so that the script has a clear exit and then entry into the next box collider that I put somewhere else. So I'll just put these numbers down to 9.5 and 9.5. Usually if the image is an irregular number, I'll just round it down to the nearest whole number. Alright, so it has a box collider. If we look back on the audio sections that are already in the game, we see that it has a room audio script. So that's what we're going to add next. Room audio, great. And this isn't in all Unity projects, just in this one, but feel free to use it whatever you want. You'll run into its limited capacity eventually. So when we add the room audio script, an audio source is automatically made here as well. So I'm just going to use one of these loops again. Maybe room audio 3 again. Alright, So once I've clicked on this, it's actually changed the inspector again. So I'm going to have to click on this. I'm actually going to click lock up here so that regardless of what I click on, this doesn't change. There we go. So I'm going to drag Room Audio 3 right into this audio clip. And you can drag whatever files you want into these project files, and it'll copy them to the local folder, the local project folder. So unlike some other DAWs that an audio person might use that references files all over our computer, Unity works so that it only has to reference files within the project folder. Alright, so we look at our audio source and let's just look through the settings again. We don't want to unmute, we're not using any of these effects. We do want to play it on awake, and we do want it to loop, so let's check that. All of these settings are all normal. 2D over here, that's what we want. And our room audio script we could change again, but let's not do that. One other thing is we don't want our collider to be a physical collider that the player runs into and can't move any more forward. So we're going to put that is trigger. And this means that the collider is going to trigger an effect or an event or something in a script rather than stop the player from moving forward. And because this is a sprite, we also need a sorting layer. I've made a layer called BG for background, and this will ensure that when the player moves over to this room, that the player's sprites don't go in a layer below the Brussels sprout sprite. We want it to be in front. So I'm just putting the Brussels sprout sprite into the background. Okay, then this should work. Room 3 audio. So that was the one that had the little base layer added. So let's try this out. Excellent. Next we're going to look at 3D audio. This is a little bit different because we're just going to be using Unity's built-in audio functionality, and we won't need this room audio script. So I'm going to find a picture of a tree or something. Just look up tree. Great. Obviously I can't use this for my final project, but I'm just testing out audio for this. Okay, so I'll save this image as tree. Yep, I'll just save it there on my desktop. Cool. And I can actually just drag it from the Chrome downloads straight into my Unity project, and I'm going to put it in art. Cool, there's my little tree. Just minimize that. Alright, so I'm going to put my tree down here somewhere. That's quite big. I'm going to unlock the inspector from the Brussels sprout picture. You can see it's still selected on the Brussels. So unlock that. Alright, and it's changed to my tree. Again, when we could just put a sprite straight in, has nothing but a position, size, and the sprite itself. We'll just add a component. We're going to add an audio source down there. So this is like a speaker in our in-game world. We are going to have to find a little loop for our audio source. So I'm actually just going to search my computer for something that ends in .wav. Here we go. What does this sound like? How about this little here? Almost sounds like a little possum or something. So I'll again just drag this down to audio. I haven't put it in my music folder, but I could make a new audio assets folder by right clicking down there, pressing folder, and maybe this will be SFX, and I'll just put it in there just to keep things neat. Alright, I'm going to click on my tree. I'm going to lock it in the inspector again so I don't have to keep dealing with the inspector changing. I'm just going to drag this straight in. So for our tree, I haven't had to add a collider, and I haven't had to add the room audio script that the Brussels sprout photo had to have. Okay, so we're going to go through these settings. We don't need any of these bypass, and we don't need this mute, but we are going to put it on loop. What I hope for this tree is that when our player walks towards it, our little sound will get louder, and as they walk away, it will get quieter. So the audio functions that we're exploring in this project are purely to do with position of the player. So far there's no other interaction than that. Okay, so for this, we're actually going to change this entirely to 3D on this little slider in the inspector. So now we're going to use these 3D sound settings. The main thing we're going to use is this graph here. So if we look at this graph, we've got yellow, which is reverb. We've got this red line, which is volume. We've got spatial here, which is green. We've put all the way up to 3D. We've got spread, and we actually have the position of the listener, which is labeled up here. Alright, so we're going to be using a custom roll-off. There we go, so that we can change the volume however we like. Alright, this max distance is for how long do we want control over the volume. I'm going to change this to something quite small, maybe 5, maybe 7. So we can see that that's this circle over here, and that's how long in distance that I want to be able to control the roll-off of the volume. So if we look down at our graph again, the listener is not on screen anymore. And that's because the listener's over here outside of the circle. Alright, so again I'm going to lock this, and while we play the game, we can look at how the listener moves towards the audio source. So that for some reason didn't work. So I'm going to put it up to 20. You can see the listener here. Let's just see what's going on with it. Great. So in this case, 10 seems to be the value that is on the object itself. So we want our roll-off to go all the way over to 20 over here. So that time, when we moved towards the tree, the sound faded in. We're also panned according to our position. And that's what the 3D sound setting does. It gives that depth, that third dimension, so that we're not just completely on the same plane. Alright, so that ends our tutorial so far. So we'll click Save Scenes, great, Save Project, and then we can exit.